Hi, it's Duke. So for this video, I thought it would be fun to discuss some smaller Sandersides theories that have been floating around the community for a while. These are all pretty popular. I'm sure you've seen at least one of them before. I did try to pick out ones I've actually seen, like, multiple people discuss in the past and not just like one or two people. Because if that was the case, this would be like 6 hours long. Anyway, let's get into it. Theory number 1. Virgil is not his real name. This theory popped up in, I want to say, about 2020. Basically, the idea is that Virgil is not Virgil's real name. Or at least not his full name. Remus and Janice's names both end in US, and Roman, Logan, and Patton end in AN or ON. In other words, they share a slant rhyme. Virgil is unique in that his name doesn't end with either. I'm not sure what the actual word for this is, and I'm trying to search it up online, but it's not helping me. But the characters having matching names is not necessarily a part of the actual lore of the series, but is meant to convey information to the audience. Like how all of the survivors in Don't Starve have names that start with W, except for Maxwell and Charlie to, let the audience know they're in other. Or how the placement of a character's gem in Steven Universe indicates their personality. You know what I mean? Anyway, the slant rhyme of a character's name in Sandersides sort of indicates their role or alignment within Thomas's mind. And this is true of everyone but Virgil. Some people believe this is because Virgil is neutral, some think it's just a coincidence, and others believe it's indicative of something else. Maybe that Virgil is lying about his name, for example. But what's the actual evidence for this? Within the canon of the show, we have this scene from SVS.
I think it's ridiculous that anyone is entertaining any of this. Guys, he's a liar. You literally know him as deceit.
Glass houses, Virgil. You yourself said that you are not a beacon of truth.
Yeah, because I'm wrong a lot.
Oh, so you've never been reluctant to share anything with the group then?
Don't.
What? I just meant your name.
Don't.
Maybe that's why it's so easy for you to recognize me for what I am. Like I said before, it takes a liar to know a liar.
It's a bit difficult to really grasp what's going on here. Is Janice calling Virgil a liar for withholding his name? I kind of doubt that since Logan, Roman, and Patton all did that as well, and he doesn't ever bring it up with them. Is Janice talking about how Virgil used to be one of them and is hiding it from Thomas? Maybe, but then why does Virgil get so upset after Janice mentions his name? I'm not really sure how else to read this scene, but if you watch it under the assumption that Virgil is lying about his name, then it does make a lot of sense. Then we have this scene with Remus from Dealing with Intrusive Thoughts.
Or you could just call me by my name. Remus. You told me? Right off the bat? Just like that? Of course I did, Dr. Seuss. I would never hide anything from you.
Remus reveals his name and glances over to Virgil while saying, "I would never hide anything from you." And now, on one hand, he could absolutely be talking about how Virgil used to align himself with the others, but people also like to propose that he's talking about his name. I feel like this only works if you're assuming that. Otherwise, I feel like it's pretty clear Remus is talking about Virgil being a dark side. Anyway, if this is true, what might his name actually be? Well, there's only really one name people point towards as a possibility, and that's Virgilius. We know for a fact that Virgil is named after the Roman poet Virgil, whose full name was Publius Virgilius Maro. But what's the significance of this if true? Well, we know Virgil tries to distance himself from Remus and Janice, so it would obviously be an extension of that. And if the characters are aware of their names being significant, to what extent is unsure, then Virgil changing his name could be viewed as him being dishonest about his role or something? I don't know. Considering the limited evidence, I'm 50-50. I think it makes sense, but I'm not sure what the storytelling purpose of this would be. 5 out of 10. Theory number 2. The sides are animals / have animal symbolism. It is true that Janice and Remus both have animal theming, being a snake and a kraken respectively. And yes, it's a kraken, not an octopus. But many people in the fandom like to theorize about what the other side's animals might be. To start, there's this clip.
Talon's idea.
Talon's
Talon
idea?
recommended we do a puppet episode.
I think I originally thought about the sides being like animals, and then I was like, wait, puppets.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
we can. I think we still have,
Sanderside's animals?
I think we still have that idea a little bit.
Yeah.
So we do know that the size as animals was an idea that they actually had at one point, and Thomas said it might still be a possibility, but that was back in 2017, so it's unclear if this idea is scrapped or not. But anyway, what would the size as animals even be? Well, Virgil is the most obvious, given that his room is covered in spider webs, he canonically likes and keeps spiders, and spiders are an extremely common fear for people. His animal would most likely be a spider. There is also like 2 pieces of evidence for him being a cat.
And you're right. I was getting a bit too catty.
And cats are Virgil's thing.
What? The hissing? Yeah, okay.
But that is a significantly less popular idea. Patton has cat and dog theming, which would personally lead me to assume he's one of those. A cat is far more likely given the cat hoodie and onesie. However, in SVS Redux, he does turn into a giant frog, which has done, like, irreparable damage to the fanfiction scene in this community. Anyway, because of his actually transforming into a frog over a cat or dog, frog is a very, very, very popular choice for Patton. Basically, the one and only time Logan has an animal reference towards him is in his banner, where there's this owl-looking face. So Logan could be an owl? Or, well, there is the unicorn onesie, so maybe he's a unicorn? Like, as an ironic thing? Considering the limited support for either, I think both are equally as likely. And Roman. Maybe he's a unicorn? He does reference them more often than Logan, so it's more likely for him. Or maybe he's a lion, cause he's a Gryffindor, and lions are typically symbols of bravery and courage and heroism. Or a manticore chimera. Maybe he's a dragon? Man, okay, Rowan references animals a lot, and there isn't a popular suggestion for him in the fandom that I can, like, bring up either. So I can't point towards one more than the others for him. So are all the sides besides Janice and Remus actually based on animals? I'll be honest, I don't buy it. I think this is just a product of popular fandom that has been retroactively applied to the series as a theory. Actually, most theories in this fandom tend to be like that. But yeah, there isn't any real evidence for this. 0 out of 10 for me. Number 3. Virgil was paranoia when he was a dark side. There are 2 clips that people like to use as evidence for this theory. This one.
How would I be a Hufflepuff?
You are hardworking, working hard to make Thomas paranoid vigilant. Paranovigilant. Did you like that? I just made that word up just now. I'm basically Shakespeare.
And this one.
But what if he's lying? I can assure you he's not. You're just
Expressing an unhealthy amount of concern. Thank you for being on guard. But for now, you must listen.
Okay, so to start, I must point out that the dark sides are not actually a thing. It's just a name Roman came up with. It doesn't mean anything. And it definitely doesn't change what a side represents. Plus, Virgil has always been referred to as anxiety throughout the entire series. If he was paranoia during this period of the show, I think they would, actually call him paranoia and not anxiety. Virgil isn't paranoia. These things are barely even about Virgil. The characters are basically just calling him excessive in these moments, and okay, I'm honestly really bad at wording things like this. I think Tumblr user Brand Stifter Sis actually said it best. It's kind of funny to me how Logan and Roman stopping before calling Virgil paranoid is seen as hinting at Virgil being paranoia instead of a reflection of their own characters. Roman backtracking and saying paranovigilant is showing Roman actually trying to make a change in how he speaks to Virgil. Although he is struggling with it, the fact that Thomas had to catch him on it shows that Roman truly values other people's perception of him, especially Thomas's. It hints at a dependency on his image as the heroic prince. There's so much more to say about Roman because of this one slip than Virgil. Logan is stopping himself from saying that while Virgil is freaking out, despite being clearly frustrated and ready to snap, is more telling of Logan as a character. He's been known to repress his emotions, and that's usually portrayed as unhealthy, but there is a time and place for it, such as this situation. It shows the extent of his self-control under pressure, his ability to de-escalate tension. But sure, make it about Virgil. I personally think the paranoia theory is ableist, and this stuff is weak evidence to support it. FYI, they gave me permission to read that for this video. But yeah, 0 out of 10 theory. Number 4, any side is going to duck out. No. Okay, so now on to the 5th theory. Okay, I'm kidding. I'll talk about it. There's been a lot of theories throughout the years where people try to suggest this side is going to try to duck out, or this side is going to try to duck out. There isn't actually anything in the series to support this happening, ever, for any reason, with any side. I think people who try to say something like this will happen just kind of misunderstand what Virgil ducking out was actually meant to represent. A ducking out is an allegory for suicide. He was going to do the closest thing a side can do to killing themselves and disconnecting himself from Thomas. And if you don't believe me, the semicolon, a very common symbol for those who chose not to go through with their planned deaths, is utilized in his banner. Joan themselves stated on their Tumblr years ago that it was important for his character. Plus, even if that wasn't the case, they're not going to do the exact same storyline twice. So, 0 out of 10, shit theory. Number 5, crayon theory. Crayon theory started up in 2018 when these posters became available for purchase. On Patton's poster, he has some crayons floating around, and the blue one happens to be broken. Some people believed this was foreshadowing for Logan snapping, whatever that meant to people back in 2018. That's it. That's all there is. I'm just going to say it. This theory is stupid, and I hate it. I cannot understand just how rampant this fuck-ass theory was back in the day, and if you weren't present in the fandom during this time, consider yourself lucky. Talon themselves said at one point that it was just a crayon and it didn't mean anything. But even that wasn't enough to deter the hordes of annoying 13-year-olds from shoving it down your throat constantly. Plus, the crayons don't even align with the rainbow theory, which is kinda what it needs to rely on for this to mean anything. To my knowledge, Thomas has said like one thing about this theory since, which is kind of funny to me. But yeah, I feel like this is not going to be a surprise to anyone when I say this theory is garbage. Negative 100 out of 10. And that's everything I want to discuss in this video. I'm just now realizing this video is basically just all theories I dislike, but oh well, I guess. Lol. Anyway, even if I haven't convinced you of anything, I hope you still found this entertaining.